Sounds like you've had an amazing life.
No, Joan.
Experiences or something.
No, there's no one to have a life. These are not just fancy words, guys.
Yeah.
You don't have a life.
Somebody's got to say it.
Get a life. All right, I said it.
No, that's the quote in quotations. It's not really a problem. But the problem is you do think you have a life.
Yeah.
You think you've done all this, that, and the other. Look, here's the past. Let me show you the past. Look now. Where's the past?
In our imagination. It's imaginary.
But there's also no imagination.
There you go. Busted.
Yeah, you don't have a life is the good news. For me, anyway. Here, it's the good news. You don't have a life. Wow, I love it.
Very freeing.
Well, look now. Can you find anyone who has a life right now? Or is there just life? In all its expressions. And we were talking about Nkosi, that's what resonated, was his nothing was not loved, right? And that's the experience you get with him when you sit with him. He doesn't care what you talk about. It's the most amazing thing. And he won't give you advice, right? And if you notice most, right, people, the first thing when you share your story is they got advice for you. Oh yeah. And you're not off the hook. You got advice for them too. So this is the little game that the me's are all playing, but eventually that shit can get tiring, big time. Like you just can't do it. You can't.
Don't forget the right and wrong component. It's like your advice is right and their advice is wrong. Let's let's be clear about this.
Yeah.
Everything you say is right and everything they say is wrong, because that's how the game goes.
Well, every me is looking at it from its own perspective, which explains all the fighting and the arguing. It makes complete sense. If you're looking at your thoughts as real, and I'm looking at my thoughts as real, even though your thoughts are not real and my thoughts are not real, if I believe them and you believe them, we go to war.
Yeah. Well, I have a mantra. I'm full of shit. Every time I start taking something serious, I go, I'm full of shit. Oh, that's right. Forgot.
I'll just share with you as just for a minute or two, when I was looking for advice from Nkosi, and he said, okay, I have a problem, and let's pretend I'm a ghost. I may not be saying this exactly. And he had a problem and came to me, I have a problem and I want a solution to this problem. And it was just hysterical. We just laughed and laughed. It's like talking to a ghost when you have a problem. I hadn't looked at it quite that way before, but it was, it's true. And since that session I had with him, it's like I do take it less seriously. I remember the ghost, and I remember him trying to really be serious.
Yeah, it is so great. So I saw that, I witnessed that exchange in your private.
Yes.
And it always cracks me up, and he doesn't do it very often. He's only done it a few times. right?
Did you put it online?
But what I love is when he mimics the ghost's voice. Oh, oh, help me. Oh, I'm afraid of my life. Oh, oh.
Yeah, yeah.
That kills me because we think that's us. We think that's our voice suffering. And that's why when Nkosi starts laughing and making fun of that voice, we're taking that, the me's taking that voice dead seriously.
Yes.
And for Nkosi, it's just dead. Oh, there's Joanna.
What you said, Alice, talking to a ghost. Have you ever had the experience of waking yourself up while you're talking in your sleep?
Yes.
Well, when that happens to me, for the first like second or so, I notice that I'm talking about some scenario I was dreaming about. And when I realize there's like the recognition that it's not real and that it was a dream, and there's also the simultaneous attachment to the story, like, oh, I don't really want to give up that story. That was an interesting story. Even though I know it wasn't real, it was a complete dream. And what you're saying about talking to the ghosts, I couldn't quite catch what you were saying. Like the problems are ghosts?
No, oh, go ahead.
The voice.
The voice. Like in Nkosi was saying, I have this problem, Alice. I don't know what to do. My girlfriend and she's not talking to me. I mean, I'm making up the problem now, but he was pretending it was hysterical because that's what we do all the time as a character. We tell these stories and we want somebody else to solve them, or there are various ways we can look at this whole thing. But that's kind of what I meant when I was saying about the ghost. There is no character, and if we think there is, it's really a ghost we're interacting with.
Really, really good, guys. Thanks, Alice. This is a really, really important point, right? Because not really, actually, nothing is important. But I will say this: there is that voice is not taken as a ghost. It is taken as me. So when it says it's suffering, or why did that asshole do that? We think that's us talking. We think that's how we feel.
Totally.
I equate it to the DJ because I want to know who the DJ is that plays these songs in my head.
Yeah.
I never met the DJ.
I know. And you can apply that to all thoughts.
I mean, it's just like, who's the DJ?
No, but that's the rub. The me is looking, like that was part of the seeking, right? Is to get to the bottom of this. Like, okay, let's, where's God? Chop, chop. Right? How does this all work? Non-duality, I just need it explained by the right teacher. And when that one little understanding drops into the whole, I'll have it. That's all bullshit. This cannot be understood at all.
It's not a mental movement.
Yeah, it's the lack of movement. It's like when the mind loosens its grip, sometimes momentarily it will happen where I'll forget my narrative. Once I only did a couple of these. The first meditation retreat that I did, somewhere in there, I was in my room and I noticed that my anxiety, I was wrapped up in my fears. And then for a moment, I forgot what I was worrying about. And I said, wait, what was it? And I was like attached to it and I wanted to bring it back. But without the story, it just was what was happening. It was like the brain forgot its process and it still existed. It doesn't go offline. It's just what's there is what was there already, if that makes any sense.
It's always here. Exactly. It doesn't move. So Joan, so you often say that it's not a mental movement, but it's everything. It's movement and non-movement are not two.
And I think that's why Ariana talked about how it's like a big pudding. There's no up or down or left or right. It's just
yeah, it's like an everything salad.
Oh yeah.
Like that was sort of the clue, I have to say. When I would watch, I even said this to Nkosi. I said, there's no way you could be this nice. I did, because he's like to Alice, yeah, text me anytime. Anytime. I don't mind. Here's my phone number. Call me anytime. I go, Nkosi couldn't do that. I go, that is unconditional fucking love. So when Nkosi says, I'm only ever talking to myself,
and in the middle of this, not to interrupt you, he will shoot me messages during the week. Just random messages, which are just beautiful.
You didn't interrupt him, Alice. He interrupted himself.
Exactly. Thanks, Joe. It really is. It's this doing everything. It's playing every part, the ones you like, the ones you don't like, all of it. It just doesn't exclude. That's the unconditional love part. It's incapable of excluding, because here it is, whatever it is. Like imagine, well, it sounds funny to say it like this, but it kind of doesn't have the ability to judge.
Yeah. That's a key. That seems to be key.
Well, wasn't there a saying like in the 60s that said love is blind? Do you guys remember that expression, love is blind?
Yes. Seems I've heard it all my life, so I don't know whether it's in the 60s or 40s or whatever. It's been such a common.
But it's so beautiful, isn't it? Love is blind. So if you're blind, you can't pick one above the other. You're just love. It's just love is. Speaking of love, hi Nkosi.
Hi Nkosi.
Hello everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, here in Australia, we've been all caught up with the vaccination and people protesting violently supposedly against the vaccine,
the mandates.
And I sort of, Faith has a position, right? And so, but I've realised that when Faith takes that position, which is the opposite of what I'm seeing portrayed on the media or even amongst my friends, when I take that opposite position, I'm fueling the whole fire. I'm fueling the anti-vax. I'm fueling that which I don't want, which I don't follow. So I have to step back out of it and have a neutral position. Otherwise, I'm just adding to the disaster and the unrest. Yeah. And so this message encourages me to take that position, which is no position.
Yeah, well, this message here is quite a bit different than your 6 o'clock news.
Yeah.
This message here is saying that there's absolutely nothing missing.
Faith, no position is not the neutral position.
Oh, I
that's faith. Faith will take whatever position she takes, and it's you're not involved.
Okay. So keep talking to me about it. Because you do. I think I've come up with what something, a gem, and then you come in and you and you sort of blast that out of the water. But I'm always happy with being blasted out of the water. So yeah, sorry, keep talking about it.
Well, that's the me. The me is always taking a position. It always has a position. But
yeah, so when I take no position, I'm still taking a position.
Yes, because you're taking, but you're not taking anything. You're not. There's nobody doing anything.
Yeah, you have to keep reminding me about that.
That's
I need to hear this too.
Faith. Yeah. Well, that's really that's all we're doing here in this meeting.
Yeah.
So the ghost that Alice brought up, it's the voice in the head. That's the ghost with its complaints, its problems, its troubles, and its worries. And guess who's speaking right now? Guess whose voice this is?
Nobody's.
My voice.
Who owns the voice, the speaking voice, regardless of who is speaking?
Nobody.
Everybody.
Zoom.
No, don't mute Nkosi. This is your cue.
I was just going to say it's a trick question.
All the characters are ghosts. Yeah. And all the stories are ghost stories.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I told them a little bit about our ghost.
It's all the same ghost, but the ghost doesn't exist. There's no ghost. There's just this. There's no stories. The stories are all just this.
Yeah. There is only what seems to be happening. There is only what seems to be happening. So it seems to happen, but it's not happening. So to this, nothing is happening. Nothing ever happened. And right now, nothing is happening. There's just this. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's seeking. Nobody is waiting. Nobody's hoping. Nobody's getting closer to anything. Nobody's expecting anything here. Nobody's excited here. Nobody's enlightened here. There's just this. And nothing matters to this. Whatever may seem to appear, it's just nothing. It's not a big deal. So there's only what seems to be happening. And it's happening for no one, because there's no one here. There's no one who is okay, and there's no one who is not okay here. There's no one who's suffering. There's no one who's not suffering. So there's no one who will ever be enlightened here, because there's only this. There's only enlightenment, and it's for no one. No one can claim it. Doesn't belong to anyone. It is as it is to itself. You won't get it because there's no you to get it. So there's only this. There can only be a recognition that there's only this, but nobody will recognize it. Nobody will get something here. Nobody will be enlightened. Nobody will know that, oh, there's only this, because there's only this. Whatever voice may seem to appear, whatever sound may seem to appear, it doesn't belong to anyone. It's just a sound appearing. All these bodies, they're just bodies walking around, making noise, making sounds. They don't belong to anyone. They're just bodies appearing to move around, but there's no one in them. So here, there's no one here. There might be an idea that there's someone who's seeking, but that's just an appearance, and it's appearing for no one. And nobody will know this, because there's only this. So nobody knows this here. There's no one who knows this. There's no one who's enlightened here. There's just nothing here. It may seem as if there's a Nkosi who's talking. There's nobody here. There's no one here. There's no one here and there's no one there. And there's no here and there's no even there. There's just this. So whatever may seem to happen, it's okay. It doesn't matter. So nothing can be said which is not this. Nothing can appear outside of this. And there's nobody who is outside of this who is hoping to get inside of this, because there's only this. So nobody's running late here to be enlightened, because there's nobody here. It might seem as if years have gone by. The idea may appear that years have gone by, we are not enlightened yet. you're about to die, but that's just a thought appearing in this. It's nothing. Nobody owns that thought. So there's only this. There are no individual characters. There are no individuals here. There's only this. This is nothing appearing as everything. So nobody can find everything because everything is not lost. So the one who's trying to get it is already it. So that's one will never get anywhere because it's already it. The one looking for it is it already. And there are no how, there are no why. It's just what's happening. So the one hoping to get this will never get it because there's only this. There's no you to get this. There's no you to find anything. There's no you who is getting closer to this because there's only this. You getting closer to this is just an idea appearing in this. It's just a thought appearing. And that thought is not even there. It's all imagined by nobody. It's all imagined by nothing. So there's only this. There's only this. Unconditional love. Because everything is allowed to express. Everything is an expression of this. Nothing is suppressed here. There's no wrong and right. There's just what's happening. So whatever may be said here is only this. You can't say anything outside of this. Nobody can go outside of this because there's only this and there's nobody as well. That's it. Those are just thoughts appearing. They don't belong to anyone, so it's okay. So whatever thought may appear, no matter it's okay. It's just a thought. Nobody owns it. It's just an appearance.
Listening to you always has a calming effect. Just everything just calms down.
I guess it's like Nkosi, when Nkosi speaks, it's like all the stories that we have melt away, just sort of disappear. So then we're left with nothing to talk about or to think about because they've all dissolved.
Michael and Dan, you remember the meeting we had on Wednesday night? Dan, I think you were there, Dan. We had a 20-minute opening meditation, and then we went about 90 minutes of silence. Because of what you said, Faith, because at the end of the day, if words are form and things are form, and you're in the formless, no position, then you realize when you start talking that, it's funny, but I noticed over the last couple of years when we came out of the meditation, I started wanting to talk less and less and less. And that's why Dan always makes fun of me when I talk at the very end of the meeting. And a lot of times, except I'm doing it now, but a lot of times I don't even talk, because it is a meditation. It is a state of being. I love that last line in Nkosi, that no one, you may have thoughts, but you don't own them. And there it is, Dan and Michael. There's my ad for the night. But anyway, it is silence. There's a reason why you hear so many great lines like "silence is bliss." I wrote a book that my opening line of my book is "Silence is perhaps the greatest teacher of all." That was 1994. It's very, very powerful. So
Peaches, silence is golden.
Silence is golden. The quieter you are, the more you can hear. Ram Dass. So I'll be quiet now.
Yeah, I've been, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Joyce. Can't see you too well, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I had my legs up the wall. That's why I had the camera off. But I've been practicing a meditation of, you know, being silent, staying in the silence. And then when I notice the thoughts come up, I pay attention to the thought. And when I pay attention to the thought, it's gone. It's not there. So it's kind of a way of extending the silence, or just noticing there's really nothing else.
So the silence and the talking are the same thing. Whenever there's talking, you're just the silence. Whether there's talking or silence or any kind of movement. Movement is always happening, but you're not there. You're just this, you're all of it, which is silence. You can say, because it's not moving. You're not in the movement. The talking is not about you.
Except it seems like the silence is this, and the talking is the me. You know, the talking and the thinking are the story. It seems that way, but you're saying it's not that way.
Yes, because what you're talking about at the moment is the appearance, which appears like there's silence and there's talking and there's different kinds of talking. But really, there's always the silence, which it's not appearing. So it's not, it doesn't have an on or off sound. It's not loud or soft. It's not, in other words, the silence in the movie is not the silence we're talking about. The silence we're talking about is what is always here, what you always are.
That doesn't change.
How could it change? Change is an idea in appearances.
So the talking and the thoughts are just appearing in that.
Yes.
As talking and thoughts.
Well, Joyce, sorry to interrupt, Ben, can I just jump in?
Sure.
So which one is always present?
The silent. The space.
So if you were a betting woman, where would you put all your chips? In what's always present or what comes and goes?
No, what's always present. You want to bet? We couldn't prove it though.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, of course.
What feels, because Nkosi said something that caught my attention. In one of his videos, he said, this is more solid than what appears to be solid.
I like that. Yeah.
the point is, you don't have to try to be silent, because that's just all there is. And then the appearance will appear like it's all kinds of things, silence and noise and sound. And then there's somebody appearing in it that I call me, but that's all just the appearance.
So the noise and the me come and go. Thoughts come and go. Sounds come and go.
But it kind of comes back to the old practice of noticing. You know, Dan used to talk about that a lot, that whatever we notice in the realm of the story becomes the silence. Like I was just saying with the thoughts, whatever we put our attention on kind of reveals itself to be this, the silence. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, Nkosi, maybe you want to speak about this, because I heard you talk about the attention seems to go out, attached to a thought, and then come back.
Yeah, this doesn't move. This doesn't move at all. So it is the attention that seems to go out and to different objects or appearances, you know, but this is always here. So I would say you never move. So I'm not talking about the personal you. I'm talking about this, because there's only this. So the attention seems to go out to what seems to appear. Then it moves out. But when it's kept here with this, it is recognized that there's only this. So as a matter of fact, you never move as this, because there's only this. The attention moves, seems to move out. So that's when the identification comes in. So this doesn't move, it's always here. And then there is always silence. It doesn't matter how the sound may appear to be loud, but this silence is undisturbed. This silence will never be disturbed, even by the loudest noise. So there's always silence. Nothing can disturb this. It's not even disturbed by talking, by movements. It's undisturbed silence. So you don't need to stop talking for this silence to be experienced. It's just silence throughout, no matter what may seem to be happening along the way. It's just silence. It's undisturbed.
So all the sounds are just silence appearing as sound.
Exactly. Exactly.
Silence appearing, or space appearing as things, objects, people, appearing as problems. Silence appearing as a problem. But it's just silence, so there's no problem in silence.
Exactly.
And the noticing is good, because when we can notice that we're not noticing the silence. The identification is there, and then there's a kind of a forgetting of the silence, and a kind of the attention is just on the sound and the movement and the story, and it seems real. And then the character of me seems real. And you forget that it's just silence. appearing as all these different things. So, and then when you forget the silence, then you think you're a character and you think there's something to do. But all the doing is just the silence appearing.
But it's in the noticing that I'm reminded of the silence.
It does work that way, yes.
Somehow, even though there's no one noticing, it appears to bring back the awareness of the silence that is always there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that falls away too.
No, but it makes sense what you're saying. It does work that way, even though there's no need to notice anything because there's nobody to notice.
Right.
Anything. But like Alan was saying, you know, that's a good thing for the character to notice the silence, or to notice when there's identification and there's a lot of noise going on, to remember the silence. Those are good things to do.
That's what meditation is.
Yeah. We're also saying that that's not necessary.
Stepping stone.
Yeah, there's always meditation, but nobody's meditating.
Mm.
There's always meditation. Nobody can do anything here. And even right now, nobody's doing anything. There's just this. There's just golden silence.
Yeah, the silence is the unconditional love because it allows all the expressions. I want to encourage, if you haven't seen the latest Nkosi audio to music from his session with Alice, okay, I'm a little biased, but I think they were fantastic. So I would encourage checking them out on YouTube if you haven't. Thank you everybody so much for coming this evening. It's great to have each and every one of you. Nkosi, brother, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Great to see
Nkosi.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Get well soon, Alice.
Bye.
Yes.
Well, Alice.
Swift healing.
Take care.